there, welcome to Pink Sew. My name is Nikki. If you're new here, welcome, and welcome back if you're not. Today we're going to make a very simple baby quilt. I call it Gingham squares, and this is just a very beginner-friendly quilting tutorial. All it is squares. I always say if you can sew a straight line, you can make a quilt. Quilting is not hard. And so this is a really simple pattern to sew, and I wanted to make it because I have a lot of fabrics in my stash that I just want to use up because I keep buying them without any plans for them, and I want to make a room so that I can buy more fabrics without any plans for them. So this quilt just uses 3 fabrics, and baby quilts are such a great way to just use up a half a yard here and a full yard there, or whatever you have on hand. So I also made a quick, easy printable for you. You can go get this for free on my website. And it is, I call it a quick quilt guide, but this is just like a quick reference so that you don't have to refer back to the video every time. And it just tells you the size of the squares, how to sew them together, etc. in a very basic one-page way. So you can go snag this on my website. I'll put it in the description below. You can see this here, this graphic. This is a more kind of a literal version of the gingham look. If you use solid fabrics, so for example, black, white, and gray would be a really easy way to do this, then it looks more literally like a gingham fabric. I'm using prints today because I'm terrible about buying solids. I never buy them, but I want to start, and so that's something I need to make room for by making baby quilts with all my prints. So you can go grab this. Also, I'm going to finish this quilt after this tutorial, and I'm going to list it in my Etsy shop. So if you want to purchase this very quilt, all done of course, I'll show it to you when it's done at the end of the video of course. Then you can go snag it from my Etsy shop. I'll put that link in the very first part of the description below, and then I'll update it once it's sold. But if you want it, don't wait, because last time the quilt I listed sold really fast. So I will list this in my shop, but first I'm going to show you how to make one. Let's get started. Okay, if you look carefully at a gingham quilt like this, it's basically made up of a bunch of this square. You have dark, light, and then 2 mediums, and then it's just this over and over. So I'm making a baby size quilt. I'm going to make 5 blocks across and 6 blocks down. So if you want to make a larger quilt than that, you can either make bigger squares, or you can do the math and add more blocks to your quilt so that it's wider and longer. I think a lot of people think that quilting is rocket science and you need a pattern, you need instructions, you need precise sizes, but it's really not true. I just liberate yourself and just quilt away until it's the size that you want it to be. Okay, so in order to make this baby size quilt, I cut my blocks 3.5 inches, my squares I mean. You need 30 of your lights, 30 of your darks, and 60 of your mediums. So this used half yard, and then a full yard of my medium fabric. And when I say dark, light, medium, I mean something that just sort of reads, when you stand back and look at it, this one looks the darkest, this one is obviously the lightest, and then you need the mediums. So here's a more kind of a literal example. This would be dark, light, medium. Or this could also be medium, I guess. This could be light. But any way you do it, you need 3 fabrics that contrast just enough. So I love that this quilt only requires 3 fabrics. You can get really creative though and do several darks, several lights, and several mediums. But I am trying to stash bust, and so I just wanted to use up some fabrics, and so I'm going to use up these 3. So I'm going to make more of these squares like this. So let's see. Let's keep this here. I cut 30 and 30 and then 60 of my mediums. So I'm going to go ahead and just place each dark with a strawberry, and then I'm going to place each light with a strawberry. And then I'm going to take them over to my sewing machine and chain piece them. So it'll be super fast and easy. I actually just got a new foot for my sewing machine. It's the 1/4 inch foot. And boy howdy, did it change my piecing. I'm so much more accurate now. Let me show you what it looks like. It looks like this. So this one was made for my Gingham especially, so it's like perfectly accurate. You run the edge of the fabric along this black ledge, and the needle position is a perfect 1/4 inch. It's really great. So I'm just gonna keep pairing up all of my fabrics until they're all ready to sew. I will for sure fix these as I put them under the sewing machine if they're not perfect, but I find this faster than pairing each one up. Ooh, look, this one's messed up. then pairing each one up as I'm sewing, because that just makes it all take longer. It always makes sense to cut some extras in case that happens. Okay, now I'm gonna do my hearts. I wanna make sure that my hearts, I want them all to go the same way. It's not totally necessary, but in this project, I decided I want my hearts to all be upright. So I'm gonna stitch them with the hearts on top so I can make sure they're going up and down. Okay. Oops, look, I got some selvage in here. It's okay, because it will be inside the seam line. Okay, I'm gonna go take these all over to my sewing machine and chain piece them together. I'll show you what that means in case you don't know already, but it's a super easy way to sew lots of seams without breaking your thread every time. Okay, so I have my 1/4" foot installed and I'm sewing each of my pieces together, but you don't need to break your thread after each piece. You can simply just insert the next one and keep stitching. So in the end, they're all going to be chained together and you just snip them apart. This saves a lot of time and thread. Just running my fabrics along the edge of my new 1/4" foot works beautifully. Okay, I snipped them all apart. I have them in 2 piles, so I have 28 of these and 28 of these because I already made 2 squares, so you should have 30 total. Now I'm going to go press them. I'm going to press all my seams toward the strawberries, so towards your medium fabric. This will make sure that your seams are nested when you sew them together and it'll be less bulky. So let me go do that next. Okay, so now they just need to all be made into blocks that look like this. So each dark medium is going to be sewn to each light medium. So for this purpose, I am going to just place a pin because I'm going to remember which side I'm sewing. I'm classic for getting things turned upside down, so I'm just going to pair them all up and stick a pin in them. Do you recognize the fabrics on my pin cushion? This is the tutorial I posted last week, so you can go watch that if you want to make a cute pin cushion. I actually have a shirt cut out right here of this fabric. So I will match not only my pin cushion, but this baby quilt when it's done. My seams are nesting nicely with each other because I pressed them in opposite directions, except for on this one when I pressed it the wrong direction. Okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna go chain piece these all together into blocks. Okay, time to cut them apart.
Hey, Mommy. Are we having anything for dinner?
Okay. Now I'm going to press all these seams open. This is kind of tedious, I realize, but it does help reduce bulk when you're quilting it later. It just makes everything flat. So that's my next step. Okay, check it out. I have 30 blocks. None of my hearts are upside down. I'm a little bit shocked. So now all that's left is to piece them into rows. So I'm going to make 6 rows of 5. So this can also be chain pieced. I'm just going to chain piece until I've chain pieced 6, and then I'll start on the 3rd row, chain piece 6 more. And I'm not even going to disconnect them. This is a technique called web piecing that I'm a little mad that I just found out about. If you don't disconnect them, then you can simply stitch your rows together. They're already perfectly positioned. So I will try to show you that process. But also, if you just want to stitch them one by one because this feels complicated, you go right ahead. Okay, I've chained piece 3 blocks. I'm just putting them right sides together. 3 blocks to 3 other blocks, I mean. So this is row 4. Here's 5. Here's 6, side to side. going to break the thread, but I'm not going to cut them apart. I'm going to go back up here to row 1, open it out, and add the next block to row 1. I'm going to keep going like this. Now I'll open out block row 2, add another block. Okay, now I can break the thread, and I have 6 rows of 3 that are still connected to each other. So I'll go back to the top, go back to my top row, open it out and add a 4th square onto it. Alright, I only have 1 row left. I'm still not going to cut any of those threads. I'm going to go back to the first row. That's not true. Yeah, just 1 row. And put its 5th block onto it. Okay, I am still not going to disconnect my web. I'm going to take it over to the ironing board like this, and I'm going to press all of these seams that I just sewed. Okay, I'm going to press all my seams that I just sewed. I'm going to press each row in opposite directions. So this row I just pressed up that way. So this next row I'm going to press down towards me so that when I sew all my rows together, they're going to nest. Okay, let me show you my complete web. Here we go. Looks a little rough right now. Okay, let me zoom out. My web is complete, so all my rows are sewn, and now since my rows are still attached, it's going to be really easy and I won't even need pins. I'm just going to sew the rows together like so. Don't even have to cut those threads. They're already positioned where they need to be, and since I staggered the direction that I pressed my seams in, they're going to be nice and flat. So I'll just go sew, run 1 row at a time. Okay, my quilt top is all done. It's so cute. It really turned out pretty. I love these fabrics. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and I'll show it to you when it's all done, and then I'll go ahead and list it in my Etsy shop, so you can go hop over and buy it if you want to. But I also really hope that you will make your own. So if you would like more quilting tutorials like this, let me know in the comments. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and I will see you on the flip side. I forgot to mention, I do have tutorials for finishing the quilt both on my website and on the YouTube channel. So if you want, you can click the link for the quilt sandwich tutorial and then the finishing tutorial. And then I have a video that I made recently for quilt binding, which is my favorite method. So you can get all of those instructions on my blog and the Pin Cut Sew YouTube channel too. So you can finish your baby quilt.